Hi, you guys, and welcome back to another episode of a Tailor-Made Life podcast, where every conversation is one step closer to designing the life that God has for you. I am your host, Taylor Renee, and as always, I'm so excited to have you back. Listen, y'all, we're back. We're back and we're swinging, okay? Taylor had to get her life together, but Taylor is here now, okay? So let's just get right into it because, listen, this conversation right here is one of them ones. And it literally starts back to when I was a 19-year-old high school graduate who told a grown woman that I was going to manage her career and make her the biggest star ever. Now, it sounds crazy, really, really does. But when I tell you this story, this conversation opened the door for me to understand how to know when God's about to open your career door, right? When he's about to open the door to your career, the same three things that happened over 10 years ago, it's the same thing that will show up in your life today, right? So let's just get right into it. Now, I want to always start with a disclaimer. This is a tailor-made life, right? God shows up differently for everybody. So your story will not look exactly like my story. But these three foundational principles will always show up. Okay, so the year was 2019, right? This was like 1 year pre-COVID, right? I am in high school. I'm about to graduate, okay? Now, just a little backstory. I've always been somebody who's been passionate, eager, when it's something that I want, something that I'm interested in, I don't hold back. I am a very forthcoming young lady, okay? So that kind of tells you where I got all of this audacity from. I had a teacher who was an inspiring poet. And so she had done a poem, like a Black History poem for us in class one day. And I heard it and I'm like, oh, wow. Me as a talent scout, right? I was like, wow, she is amazing at this. She should be a poet. Like she's great. So I walk up to her after class and I say, hey, have you ever thought about being a poet? Like, you would be a great poet. And guess what? I could manage you. She's like, what? I'm like, yeah. Like, this is your big break. Like, I could manage your poet career. And she looks at me like I'm crazy, of course. But after a while, after us talking, she says, well, you know what? I am going to take some pictures this weekend, just to, kind of post on my Instagram and get myself out there. You're more than welcome to come. Oh, ding, 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 right? I said, oh, perfect. This is the perfect opportunity for me to start your career, is what I'm thinking, right? Now, here's what this did, right? It exposed my heart posture. This brings me to point number one. Before God opens the door to your career, he will expose your heart posture, okay? So when she says, at first, I thought I was getting a job. I thought this was really going to be it for me, okay? I don't know how I thought that. I don't know why, but I'm just overly ambitious, right? So when I presented the idea of me being her manager, I thought immediately I was going to be the manager. And of course, it did not work out like that. Instead, she said, hey, you have an opportunity. I'm going to give you an opportunity to come take some pictures for me. Was I a photographer? No. Had I taken pictures with a camera before? No. Not besides an iPhone camera. Like, I didn't have any experience. But that one little opportunity to meet her downtown to take pictures was all I needed. And in that moment, my heart posture was exposed. How? Because I didn't think of it as something too small, right? I didn't think of it as her downplaying me or her shutting the door in my face. I didn't think of it as a disappointment, right? I genuinely was excited. I genuinely had eagerness. I used that small opportunity, that small little window, right? And through that, I was excited. I was eager to pursue the opportunity. I didn't care if it was as small as taking pictures, right? My heart posture was exposed. Why? How? Because when I got that small opportunity, I was excited, genuinely. genuinely ready. I use that opportunity as if it was my job, right? Oh, I have something to do Saturday. I have to go take these pictures. Am I a photographer? No. But taking the small, right? And we've had conversations about this and stewarding, how to steward and knowing when to steward the small things and being grateful for all of the things, right? Yes, of course. This is putting it into play. When somebody gives you an opportunity, I don't care how small it is, if it's an opportunity towards something that you think could further your career, oh, take it and be joyous, be grateful about it, steward it well. Like I said, I had little to no experience, but what I did have was passion and eagerness, excitement, and that's the point here, because I did not get a job right away, but I took what I got and I ran with it. And the same thing applies here, right? God looks at your heart before he looks at your resume. Before he looks at any experience that you may have or don't have, he looks at your heart. How willing and eager are you to jump at this small opportunity? What is your attitude toward it? I could have been like, oh, girl, I don't really take pictures. I don't know how to take no pictures. I'm not really. No. Instead, I switched it. I said, oh, perfect. Prepare for your headshots to be taken, because your heart posture determines your initiative. It determines your courage and your teachability. Right? So when that thing comes, and it may not be exactly what you're wanting, it may not be the promise, it's probably the pre-promise, right? How are you stewarding it? How is your heart posture? How is your attitude toward the small things? Right? How are you handling your small wins? That's the first thing. He will expose your heart posture. You say you want something, okay. If I give you a taste of it, how do you feel? Are you still grateful for it? Are you still able to steward the small? Right? Now, the next thing. He will make way for your diligence. Let me say that again. He will make way for your diligence. He will create the opportunity for you to work for said dream. How willing are you to work for your dreams? What are you willing to sacrifice for your dreams? Your time, your effort, going out on Saturday nights. What are you willing to work for toward your dream, right? Now, again, he's not looking at how full or how empty your resume is. He's looking to see if you're willing to work to fill in the gaps. You have a lot of career gaps, got a lot of personality gaps, a lot of practical knowledge gaps, all the gaps. Are you willing to work to fill them, right? I coming to take these pictures. Now, of course, from that point on, right, I was then introduced to a full-time job. Now, this is pre-corporate Taylor. I'm not incorporated yet. I'm in high school. So this is in the 9-to-5. It technically wasn't even a job. I was just there, like an assistant / just there, right? And to be honest with you, at first I was horrible at it. Like, I didn't know what I was doing, to be honest. Like, I didn't know. I was just happy to be there. And that was my saying, I'm happy to be here, right? I am happy to be in the room. I'm happy to be in the conversation. I'm happy to just be in this moment. I cannot lie to you and say that I know what I'm doing now. I do not, okay? But I'm going to fake it till I make it. And that's a whole nother conversation for a whole nother time. But the point that I'm trying to get to here is that I was willing to work for it, right? No, I don't know what I'm doing right now, but I will be one step closer to knowing what I'm doing tomorrow. This role gave me a lot, put me through a lot of learning curves, if I'm being honest, right? I'm 19 years old. Now I'm learning the foundational principles of what being a professional is. That's what I'm learning, right? How to communicate myself clearly, effectively, through email. I'm learning Zoom etiquette, right? This was pre-COVID. COVID was happening. Everything is on Zoom. Okay, so now I'm learning, how do I position myself when I'm on Zoom? How do I talk to somebody and advocate for not only myself on behalf of somebody else, right? How do I advocate for a brand? How do I create a brand? These are all the things that are happening on a small scale, right? But they're growing. And I'm at the forefront of these decisions. I'm at the forefront of trying to figure this out with little to no guidance, little to no help. All I had was, again, my ability, my willingness to do so, right? And so God makes way for us to work. You tell you that He gave me that small little opportunity. I worked my way up into a role. He gave me the opportunity to work. He made way for my diligence. Now He created the room. Now it's time for you to step in and work for it and fill in those gaps, right? And so opportunity got me into the room, but diligence is what kept me in the room. And so now I still find myself asking this today. What can you be more diligent about? Right? If I had to look at your working schedule or look at your current circumstance, what gaps do you need to fill? Is it showing up to work on time or showing up earlier? Right? Is it being more prepared in your meetings? Is it answering your emails faster? Is it speaking better? Like these are all the things that may seem small, but God is making a way for you to be diligent about it. He's making a way for you to work toward it, to get better at these things. Because you want the career, you want the promise, you want the promotion, you want the internship, you want the job. Okay, so now what? Right? How are we going to get there? Well, God's going to give you He's going to give you a little taste. He's going to give you an opportunity, right? Okay. Are you going to slouch at it? Are you going to have attitude because it's small? Are you going to, what are you going to do with that opportunity? Boom. You're going to work your way up. You're going to keep working. He's going to make way for your diligence, right? And then the next and final thing that He is going to do, and I mean, I say final because, again, God works in mysterious ways for everybody, and He shows up differently for everyone. But nonetheless, finally, right, He will equip you. Now, after my stint of high school, again, like I said, I was graduating high school, so now it's time for college. Worked in that role during high school. It was great. Learned a lot, did a lot, seen a lot. By the time I got to college, I felt like I was ready. Now it's time for the big boys, right? Now it's time for the real internships, downtown, corporate office. Now it's time for corporate life, 9 to 5 life, right? I started applying and I wasn't getting anything, right? I'm applying to all these roles, all these things that look good, and I'm applying the same steps. God, I'm looking for the opportunity. God, I want to work for it. I'm looking, and nothing. No callbacks, no communication. I would apply, wouldn't hear anything. And so the only thing that was left to do was to keep going. I had to keep looking. I had to keep praying. God, okay, now I'm shifting my mindset because what I'm doing now is not working. I would apply for something. Oh, God, please let me get this. No, please, I really want this role. Please, this sounds like the perfect thing for me. Please, God, let me get this role. Nothing. Okay, so now I have to shift my mindset. Now, God, what? Give me a resource, right? That's the point. That's the whole point of this. God will equip you with the resources. Okay, so once I started to seek a resource, once I started seeking, and by resources I mean cohorts, mentorship programs, group chats. I was on Facebook group chats, job boards, LinkedIn. Like I was anywhere that a job could possibly be. Anywhere where community could be. Right? So if you're in the industry of, if you're a teacher, right, you should be looking at some teachers. You should be on some teacher group chats. You should be somewhere around some teachers talking to them in this vicinity of some type of schooling, right? And so that's what I did. Instead of looking for a job, now I'm looking for resources. Now I'm looking for help, okay? Who can help me? What can help me? And so from there, I found a mentorship program, right? I joined the program, We get on this call, and I kid you not, the pieces started to fall into place. And from this point on, instead of looking for a job, just looking for help, right? This opened my eyes. This opened me to knowing what type of things I should be applying for, right? Because what I didn't realize was that the skills that I had did not align with the jobs that I was applying for, right? Once I knew that part, I'm starting to look at the roles that I do want. Okay, I think I want to work for this music company. I think that's what my next step is. Now that I know what my skill sets are, this resource has helped me. God has equipped me with these people, with this cohort, with this community to know what to do. Now my wheels are spinning, right? Cool. And so from there, what did I start doing? I found my peers. I found the company that I wanted to work for, or that I thought I wanted to work for. Found current employees, right? And I started to reference their resumes. I started to reference how they set their LinkedIn pages up. I started to reference, how do they handle themselves, right? Because they're employees. So obviously whatever they did worked. So when it was time for me to put my resume together, guess what? I went to LinkedIn and I put up their experience and I compared it to my experience. I studied what buzzwords they used, right? What fonts did they use for their resume? What skill sets did they have highlighted on their resume? What buzzwords were they using? How was their opening statement formatted? All of those things, all of those little details, I referenced, of course, not copied, but I looked at their resume and I said, okay, all right, so, I don't have as much experience as them, right? I don't have, a lot of things to speak to like they do, but what I do have, right, what I can do is highlight the same things that they highlighted. Those soft skills, the hard skills, right? The things that you had to cultivate on your previous roles are the same things that you should be highlighting. Same things that you should be applying, right? I took the resources that were already available to me and used them. God equipped me with them and I used them. Why? Because excellence leaves clues, right? We naturally have the gifts that God has given us when we're born. He equips us with the tools, right? Hence why the Bible says you have to sharpen the axe before you use it, right? You have to sharpen the gifts, right? You have to use the tools that He equips you with. And then from there, guess what? I got the internships. I got another internship. I got a mentor. All the things that I could have ever, Pandora's box opened up for me. But what happened before that, right? Before the internship, before the mentors, before the promotion, before the yeses, before the promise, right? My heart posture was exposed, right? God made way for my diligence and He equipped me with the tools. And it's the same thing that applies. And so once you start to notice those small things that happen in your life, maybe that is how you know that God is about to open the doors to your career. And if those 3 things are happening in your life right now, leave me a comment. And yeah, so that's all I have. Till next time, bye.